I've been obsessed with A New Brain since high school. And so this experience getting to actually do the show that I've done before in my childhood bedroom, but I've never actually done it on a stage with anyone else other than myself playing all the characters. To do it with this group, with Bill Finn and with James Lapine and this amazing cast, it's like a lot of dreams come true at once.
This is there's work you do for money, and then there's work you do for you and for work, for art, and this is one of those pieces. It's so beautiful, and it's a small, contained, personal story. It's really a privilege to be here with these guys. It's a really talented group.
Oh man, I'm very excited. I didn't know it before this, and started learning the music and getting the show inside my head, and it's beautiful. I think it's one of my favorite of Bill's.
I'm super excited, because this musical I knew very little about, and it is so much fun. This cast is amazing, and we get to work with James Lapine and Bill Finn for what is this super fast but super passionate, super high energy, fun couple weeks. Not even a couple weeks, it's less than a couple weeks. So it's been a great time.
It's like the greatest show ever. I mean, it's just the most beautiful score, and it's so fun, and it's just so funny, and you get to sing real high, which is really nice.
It's very exciting. It's nice to be working with Lapine on this, and I love the original production that Graziella did. So it's just not, we're reimagining certain things, doing certain things differently.
I guess the surprising thing that happened on the first day of rehearsal was when James and Bill talked about how they felt like they never really finished the show, that they didn't get enough time to really work on it. And so they're using this sort of experience, as short as it is, as a moment to sort of clarify some things, cut some things, change some things within the piece. And so we're sort of creating our own sort of new version of the show, which has been really exciting. They talked about how Bill's mother was sick and dying during the rehearsal process, so he was gone a lot of the time while they were doing A New Brain. And also, when he came out of surgery, because it's his autobiographical story, when he came out of surgery, he was so full of joy that there was a lot of lifted up energy in the show that they're removing a little bit to sort of get down more to the reality of the experience in the beginning part of the show. So the Calamari section, Kristen Chenoweth's Calamari song is no longer in it. And certain moments along the way, they're trying to ground it a little bit more. So we'll see how that plays when we're there, but that's been really fun to kind of see it evolve.
To have Bill Finn and to have James Lapine so present in the experience of revisiting the piece has been really thrilling. Above and beyond, Aaron Lazar and John Groff and these incredible singers, Jenni Barber, that, have been singing the work too.
I mean, they're two very special kind of uncle, father figures in my life. And, this has been it's going to be the summer of James for me, because I did a movie with him called Custody, and then now we're doing The New Brain, and then we're going to do the Spelling Bee reunion right after this in July for dedicated to Spook Dastani. And so, I mean, it's awesome.
And then we have Bill Finn, the writer, and James Lapine, the writer-director, in the room with us going, oh my God, this is what we always wanted to do with this or that, and so it's just this explosion of fun. It really is. We're having the best time.
It's amazing to see them work together and to have that kind of partnership and collaboration. They're so great together. They're just hilarious, and they get each other, and they respect one another, and it's a really, really amazing room to be a part of. And, we have no time to put this stuff together, and we are getting it together, but yet they're still making changes, and they're still making it perfect, and they're still perfecting it and confronting the material and saying, is this honest enough? Is this truthful enough? Is this right?
Bill Finn and James Lapine have a huge history, and they've been together. They've been friends and colleagues for 35 years, and have a shorthand that's super intimate and hilarious to watch. One of the reasons the piece came into existence is that James basically urged Bill to write down his experience with this traumatic event in his life, and they're very, as the piece is, in some places very grave, and in some places incredibly hilariously irreverent. And I think that's sort of the essence of what happens when you have a serious illness or disease, kind of bring your ordinary everyday life to a screeching halt. It's a topic that is so specifically suited to music, because I feel that music does so much of the work. The emotional transitions and the emotional twists and turns of a complex crisis of somebody's becoming suddenly ill and dying.
Well, actually, when I was in the hospital with what I thought was an inoperable brain tumor, Lapine would come in and say, Are you taking notes? Are you taking notes? And I said, James, I'm dying. I hope you're taking notes. So that's how it began. And Lapine said, we'll have a song with walkers, which I wrote many years ago and we didn't use. But, so I think it was his idea. I never thought, because I didn't think I was going to survive the experience or long enough to write a musical. So I think he was the instigator of it.
It's technically my third Encores show, because I was involved with Damn Yankees a few years ago, but I had to pull out because I had broken my ankle. I broke my ankle. So, and then I was in Girl Crazy, so it was a very different, sort of big and brassy and giant production. This has been really cool because it's a small and intimate, sort of a chamber piece. So yes, it is incredibly fast and furious. You learn music very, very quickly. You have to basically concentrate for every minute of every 8.5-hour day in order to sort of stay at pace with what the schedule is. But on the other hand, I think that's the intoxicating part of a schedule like SNL, the kind of immediacy and instant gratification is all kind of baked into it. So it is scary, but it's also it's fun. It's fulfilling.
It's super hectic. It's fast and fun and furious and intense. But I have to say, like, I've never done an Encores, but when we did Hair in the Park the first time, we had 7 days of rehearsal and then did a weekend of shows, and I just was in London doing How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, where we had a week of rehearsal and then did the show. And so I'm kind of loving this, like, do a musical in a week situation. It's really intense, but it's really fun, and it's like Broadway summer stock. You know, you're in the room with like these insanely gifted people, but it's the same rehearsal time as like a summer stock show, and so it's exciting.
James told me like you be prepared. So I just listened to the cast album a bunch before, and I'm playing Mr. Bungee, so I get some breaks. I have like four numbers in the musical. So it's like digestible, you know. I'm not like, oh my god. But I mean, some people have a lot to do in a short amount of time. It's crazy.
I thought there was little terror the first day or two because I thought, oh my god, it's sung through. How do you? It's not like just there's a scene. I can remember I was like you have to know your music while you're staging and the whole thing. But it's actually working out a little bit easier because you have to run numbers over and over and over again. And so you end up memorizing through that process. So far, everybody great. And cannot leave out Josh Prince, our choreographer, and Chris Fennick, also two guys who are as good as it gets, our choreographer and music director. We're doing it all, man. We're doing this awesome little ensemble musical with as much sort of passion and fun as we can and getting into as much detail work in each department as we can. It's great. How else do you want to spend your day?
Oh, it's the best, because it's the best time. I mean, I just did Paint Your Wagon. It was my first Encores experience. And I loved it so much because, in college, I would do all the summer stock stuff and you have a week and a half to put it up, right? And it's like that, but it's in New York and it's with the best. It's like with people who actually wrote the musicals that you're trying to put together in a week. You're like, oh, you can change that because you wrote it. Great, okay, got it. And it's like summer camp. It's the best. Who doesn't want that? That's why we're actors. We didn't want to grow up.
Pretty much Janine is, for us, Janine Tesori is Encores, and she's classy, wonderful lady. You know, they wanted to do falsettos last year, but we're doing falsettos on Broadway, so we didn't let them. So then they asked if they could do this.
Yeah, Gordon has a day job, you know, that he doesn't get to sort of live his artistic, he doesn't get to express himself at the level that he feels. And I think everyone has that, even whether you're an artist or a doctor or, you know, there's just, everyone's had a job or been in a job where you're like, I've got more in me that I want to share with the planet, and I can't do it here, and it makes you neurotic. And then on top of that, Gordon gets a brain injury, and so then we go inside all that neuroses and what's real and what's neuroses and what, you know, and it's, I think why the show works so well is because that everyone, it's just everyone.
I've definitely had jobs, like when I was in high school, working for my dad. My dad trains and races horses for a living, so he would make us like clean the horse stalls. So that was definitely frustrating. I had an amusement park job in high school that was fun, but could get a little monotonous. But I think one of the things that I really relate to in the character is he's working on the children's songs, but he's got so many stories to tell is what he feels like. And I certainly felt that way when I first moved to New York. Like I had, you know, I was waiting tables when I first moved here, and that was all fine. I actually didn't mind it. I kind of liked it, but I did feel like I'm waiting tables, but I'm not doing what I really need to be doing, which was, you know, singing and acting, and there were so many things I wanted to do, and so I relate to that aspect of him for sure.
Sure, man. I mean, you do a lot of stuff to, what I call it like slicing off just little slivers of your soul. You're not fully giving your soul over. But yeah, and I always said I wasn't going to be a waiter. You know, I didn't want to do that. I always wanted to do something where I was at least acting. So I was like the magnificent Zoltar at FAO Schwartz until they said thank you, goodbye. Now you're crazy, because I would just like run around and hello, magnificent Zoltar, you know, in like some outfit that like 9 other guys were wearing. So they basically hand you the outfit at the beginning of the day, which was like a genie outfit, and a bottle of Febreze. That's what they, you know. So that was not the best time in my career.
When a big trauma happens in the middle of that, you start to focus everything and think, okay, what actually matters here? What do I need to focus on? And it's that weird split between the creative and the personal and the spiritual and the physical. And I think that this show is so amazing because it asks so many of those questions. And doesn't necessarily answer all of them, but everyone kind of goes on their own journey through that. And I, as an actor, just, you know, listening to it and singing and being a part of just sort of whatever the atmosphere of what James and Bill are creating, you start to question that yourself, you know, and say, gosh, what am I doing? What is important?
I mean, I probably have. I think everybody knows the feeling, as everyone who's encountered, you know, a health scare or a sort of a true immediate high stakes life or death situation. I think it always pulls into focus the validity of what you're doing, the list of things you meant to do, the priorities in your life, who's important, what do you want to say. And I think for someone like Bill Finn, who it's really interesting, the piece talks very frequently about the people in his life and the importance of his primary relationships, but also the value that comes for an artist from making art, and how integral to his lifeblood that is. It's not just his mother and his lover, but it's also writing and leaving a piece of yourself on the planet that means something. And in the case of music, you're capable of that because it will go on, it will outlive you.